Morning, everyone at the teacher's table. Excited to get today started. I put today's topic in the title here. So we have professional development, dislikes, desires, and dreams. That's going to be our chat today. But before we get to that, let's see who's all here because I'm excited to have the gang all back, right? For those of you joining us for the first time, I hope you feel welcome at the teacher's table. I hope others sort of welcome you here. And as always, toss out your ideas throughout. I'd love to hear from you. If you're catching this video later, you can always continue the conversation down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. I know we all would. You can also follow along the chat along the side here. It's there. It's a thing. Good people there. Let's see who we got here. That over. Let's see. Carrie's here. You're having a lovely morning. I absolutely love it. Kathy Sue made it back. David from Halifax again. Robert here. Good morning, everyone. Louis from Philadelphia, middle school teacher here. Thanks to Jen Ledford for the reminder. I am here to stop in for a little bit. Welcome. It's been a while since I've seen you. What ISTE was that? Was that ISTE? Chicago, Philadelphia? I don't know. Whew. Good guy. Kathy Sue from Southern Oregon. Regina's here. Don, the Czar. Czar Don. It's been a while since I've called you that, Don. Welcome back. Jennifer Ledford, thanks for reminding other people. I always love getting more people here to the teacher's table. I think it makes our conversation sort of richer, and that's awesome. Natalia made it. Fantastic. Good to see you. Amanda made it. So fun playing a game last Tuesday with you on XP Lap. So we did sort of a game night surprise. That was super fun. Good game. Phil, good morning. Good to have you here. Kyle made it. Fantastic. That's right, Don. I'm sporting the Hive Summit shirt. I got a lot of Hive Summit work to do, which actually brings me into what we're going to talk about here. We're talking about PD and sort of what's our dislikes, what's our sort of desires we'd like to have, and what's our like dreams. Like if we'd even go beyond that, what would we want in PD? So I thought we could kind of break that down. Part of this is selfish because I'm in the middle of sort of building out Hive Summit here. I have filmed 6 of our 9. I have like 2 this week/weekend and then 1 next week, and all the filming's done. Working on the speakers page, thinking about little things, little touches we can add to make it more personal. These are the kind of conversations I wanted to have with you guys. We don't have to keep it all on virtual, so we can kind of just talk in general about it. Jennifer Knox made it. Jennifer, what happened to your little Pac-Man graphic? Adam Marino made it. Happy to have you. Here in Philly. There was the answer. I knew it. I thought it was Philadelphia. Giovanni made it. All right. So, Kyle, I do keep busy. So with that said, let's turn a little bit to today's topic. Let's actually get to the topic, unlike the other day when we didn't get to the topic. So today's topic, again, that PD. So first, what's things that you don't like? Let's get that negative out of the way. Then we can kind of spend the rest of the time talking about the positives. What's things that you sort of wish PD would do differently, or no, that gets into the positive. What are some things you wish PD would avoid or you don't dig about PD? And it could be any kind of PD. It could be your district PD, could be a conference you attend, could be a virtual conference. What's something you don't like? And let's kind of break that down a little bit together. So that's kind of our first one. Pac-Man's probably still asleep. I dig that. That's funny. Jennifer Knox. So for me, PD, one of the things I don't like, I'm trying to think here. For me, I got one. I sometimes wish that PD would offer more opportunities for collisions. Now, I think ISTE does this pretty well. ISTE, like if you've ever been, has spots where people can kind of, like lounges, people can kind of go in and chit chat, and the expectation and understanding when you're in those lounges is for a collision, is for people to kind of bump in and have a conversation. But lots of conferences I go to, it seems kind of stodgy. Like a lot of times it's, I'm thinking a lot of my history conferences, it's like the speaker's up there, whoever it is, and we're all in these seats, and you don't really interact with the people next to you. And when I think about, like, here we are at a history conference, we all do the same thing. Like, we're all history teachers. There's probably as much nuggets of gold next to me as there is up on that stage or up in front of me. So, I wish we offered more opportunity for those kind of free talks. Like, I don't know if that would be greater passing time in between sessions with the expectation that you sort of chit-chat around. I don't know if that means at the end of a presentation having a little more chit-chat time. But that's one that I just really wish more conferences had. Let's see. Michelle, good to have you here. Thanks for making it back. Speaking of which, let's see what our today's like goal is. Today's like goal is 27.5. Ooh, we'll see. We'll see if we can get up that high. Let's see. Don says he's just not a fan of the sit and get PD. I hear you. I don't know if I entirely get you, though. I mean, obviously, like a structured PD in which we have opportunities and times to try the things that we're talking about, super helpful, super beneficial. And, like if we can do an all-day sort of workshop, that would be the best. But I guess to say that there's like no space for the sit and get, like I think there's something to be said about a well-constructed, well-put-together sort of presentation that sort of lays out a thought, a concept. Now, ideally, that would roll into sort of the workshop. But if we just sort of cut that out and just said, hey, we're going to like start playing with some standard-based grading software, but like not really teach you the ethos behind standard-based grading, it doesn't matter that I get to play with the software or play with my grade book. I got to like understand the best practices around it. So really, I think that hybrid, that combination of sitting, getting, and then sort of going and doing would be the best. So, and I think some conferences do a really good job of having longer session formats so that you can kind of do both in the same session, like 90 minutes, 2-hour sort of sessions. I think that's awesome. But just sitting and getting with no application moment, I can totally get behind for sure. Let's see what else we have. Robert, irrelevant topics that are either not relevant or I'm not interested in. I understand some are necessary evil, but wish there was more passion-based. I agree. I kind of on that note, what I'm going to say is if you go to some big conferences, I am sort of floored by, if you think over our lifetimes, and I don't know how old all of you are, but for at least my lifetime, kind of what happened to a newspaper. The amount of ads in a newspaper used to be pretty minimal, and now it's like over 50% is ads. And you're kind of like, what happened to the content here? What happened to actually the stories here? And I think about how conferences, I have not attended conferences, as long as I've seen newspapers in my life, but it seems like more and more of the big name conferences, like you go to ISTE, you're super excited to go to ISTE, but then you start to see like, oh, like this is actually a vendor session. This is a vendor session. This is a vendor session. And you're just kind of like what you said, Louis, like, where's the passion? I want the teacher up there saying like, I love fill in the blank. This is fantastic. Here's how I use it. Here's how I bend the system a little bit, right? But to just have a session run by a vendor and saying, here's our product, here's our thing, here's how we use it, here's how it's great for teachers. It feels a little bit like a timeshare sell. Like, oh, like I made it to ISTE so that I could hear you sell me a product. And a vast majority of us don't have the money to buy it. Like, I'm not the purchase agent for my school. I am a 6th grade world history teacher. So that kind of drives me nuts. I agree. Speakers who aren't invested or don't love their content. I do wish we would have a little more passion sometimes from presenters, for sure. But at the same note, I do want to say I love when people take a chance and present. So I am totally forgiving of the teacher, the educator that wants to get up there and try presenting. I think it's one of the best things you can do for yourself. When we think of our profession, right, you really have to know and care and understand when you are willing to sort of stand up there and teach it. So same's true when you're willing to teach other educators about some style, some idea, something that you do. You must really know it, and that's really good for your own sort of profession. So I think that's good. Let's see what Amanda has to say. As a music teacher, it's always frustrating when PD is non-personalized or just a blanket topic that isn't always relevant or useful to everyone attending. I definitely, like, for example, Adam and I work together. He's the drama teacher. And yeah, like sometimes when you have these like blanket PDs, he would sort of say like, I really wish there would connect. Now, Adam, I don't know if he's going to share. Maybe he already has. But I know he's one that always really tries to find a pearl. There's always something in some topic. But it would be nice if some of the speakers that we're all required to see would be a little more open-ended for everyone. Fully agree. Let's see. That's what Kyle has to say. Kyle says we had a speaker a couple of years ago who literally just talked about his Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook handle. It was just a commercial for himself, absolutely no content. That is amazing, and I feel for you. We've all, I think, been in some pretty bad PD. Let's see what Jennifer says. With Miss Pac-Man back in action, that's awesome. My school is getting better at PD. We've had hundreds of teachers, but last year we did small groups and worked on activities together. That's awesome. I love that sort of, I don't know, guerrilla sort of PD. One time my school did that where it was kind of like choose a topic that interests you, and we kind of built a cohort around it. And then the idea was we were going to check in throughout the year. They were going to give us time throughout the year to work with our cohort, report back, try new things, read articles together. Unfortunately, we only met once. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know who complained or what happened, but we never ended up doing the model other than meeting day one. Let's see what Giovanni says. I don't like when PD turns into a negative meet. I know it's a conversation event, but I feel it comes apart when certain people don't see eye to eye. That's an interesting point, right? I think sometimes we have to sometimes suspend what we do in our class to truly hear the speaker and take it in. And sometimes I think we get caught in the like no moment before we've really heard something, and that does kind of cut off growth for sure. Carrie says, I don't like PD that either is trying to sell you a product or presented by a person that is disconnected to education, or PD that doesn't differentiate for people's different entry points. I love that last part. I will tell you personally, I struggle with that. Like with gamification, I sometimes build presentations that are truly for the person that's just starting, but then there's people that are there to see me who have already like tried and want like 2.0. And then I've tried sessions that are 2.0 based, and then the feedback people say is like, oh man, I can't do any of that. And you're like, oh, that's because you're brand new and like this really wasn't built for you. But at a conference, anybody can attend anything they want. There's no like prerequisites like college or something. And then I've built ones that run the gamut, and those tend to do well. But then arguably a lot of times the newbie gets scared away. I mean, they'll come up to me and say like, oh, I can't do all that. And you're like, but remember, I've said like 1,000 times, you don't have to do all this. I've said 1,000 times in that presentation. It's about, wherever you want to take it. But remember, here's where those starting blocks were. So it is tricky finding that right entry point that applies to sort of everybody and is interesting to everybody. That's kind of the holy grail. See what Don says here. Talks about schools preparing participants for what the speaker will be talking about. It is unfair to the speaker. That's true, right? Like it would be nice. Trying to think if our school does that. I don't really know if we really like prep us. It's just kind of like, hey, like we're looking forward to our October in service. Be at our October in service, and then they'll tell us like some things like don't forget to bring this or that, but they don't necessarily say that the in service is centered around this. Here's an article you could read, or here's a blog post by the person. That would be interesting. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that a whole lot. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Fully agree, Zardan. Fully agree. Just going from one sit and get to another is not as impactful as it could be for sure. Uh, yes, right. We have to keep an eye on practical. I also think this as educators who present, even if it's your first presentation, constantly ask yourself like, you can't make the entire thing practical application. You have to sort of teach some things. You have to tell a story around something, but ask yourself, what do you see as the pearls throughout this? What is something somebody's going to take from this? And if you can't answer that, I'd go back to the presentation and try to build in at least one idea, at least one takeaway that they can kind of use. Because arguably, and I've said it before, one or two pearls from a presentation is amazing, right? So like if you got one or two from the like 8 sessions you attend over a conference, you're coming back with 16 usable ideas. That's amazing. So don't feel like, hey, in your 15-minute presentation, every sentence has to be a thing they're using. No, but can you build up to like one or two actual implementable things by everyone in that crowd? If you can come up with one or two that way, you're set. You're golden. Let's see what Adam says. We seek to get our students engaged, yet create PD for teachers that require little to no voice and choice. No surprise, I'm not good at sitting quietly and just listening. I fully agree. I am the guy that usually tries to interact with the presenter. I'm like, woo, they ask for a volunteer. I'm super excited. And the people around me, actually, I think sometimes they're like, we don't behave that way here at a conference. And you're like, why not? I'll add one thing I don't really like as a presenter at PD is the number of teachers that show up and sit in the back of the room. Like, oh my gosh, we would judge our students so much if they sat in the back and they were lazy, blah, 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 blah. And yet, PD always fills up in the back of the room. Like, and I don't care the size of the room, right? You could be presenting in a classroom, people take that back seat. You could be presenting in a large auditorium, people take that back seat. Like, you're here to learn. Like, let's be all in, full contact. Let's be right up there. All right, so I think we've spent enough time talking about what we don't like. Now let's talk about our sort of desires and dreams, because as I build out Hive Summit, and I truly do want to be by teachers for teachers, what are things you like in conferences? Doesn't have to be just online, but I am curious, what is it that you just love about conferences? Becky, good to see you. I still can't wait to connect with you. Becky and I kind of want to do a game night on Let's Play, my Let's Play sort of series. I agree, Carrie. Don't forget to hit that like. Even if you're here for just a little bit, pass it along. Help us get to that like goal. Definitely bringing the passion and excitement, Jennifer. I agree. Let's see, Mr. Matera, I'm also concerned about the expertise of the presenter. There are some topics where damage can be done. SEL, for an example. We are making sure that the speaker has the requisite expertise. I love this idea, and I have to say, like, as somebody that hasn't really like I've put on Hive Summit, but like I'm not in charge of our district PD, for example. That's an interesting thing. Like, what's the sort of pedigree of the speaker to be able to talk in that space? Because you're right, you don't want damage to be done. You train a bunch of educators to go out and do the other style, but that style's not right. Ugh, good point. Let's see, Jennifer, that's what I'm looking for in a presentation. I want to see the passion and the why. I like that idea, though, the why. Uh, okay. I think I agree. I admire the courage to be a risk taker and speak or give PD talks in front of unknown people, especially using online platforms. But please, know the topic. Agreed. Agreed. Whole group PD, whole school PD. The thing I fully agree that's less impactful, but what I do like about whole school PD a lot actually is to sort of set a tone, to sort of speak to the ethos of a school and kind of get us recommitted to something, right? As a group, as an organization. I think those, I'm going to sound pretty cheesy here and maybe even boring, but this idea of sort of being mission focused, mission driven, and reminding people of that mission. And it could be the mission of the school, could be the mission of educators in general, but that can be a recentering exercise that's worth it. But then we should sort of, like you said, break into more small group PD. Fully agree. Fully agree. Let's see. Regina. PD that's at the end of the school day is always suspect. I sort of agree. We always put our staff meeting there, and you look around the room and teachers are like, bleh, they're dead. So I would love it if our district would offer up sort of like, I know some schools have like a late start, like one day a week for like those kind of teacher meetings. It would be awesome to come to a teacher meeting refreshed and ready to do that meeting. That would be amazing. Let's see what Becky has to say. I just got here. I want PD that teaches how to integrate technology into instruction and teacher administrative work. Digital literacy among teachers is hit or miss. It's vital, and we now are seeing this. For sure, for sure. That's interesting. This idea of like coaching up digital literacy. I'd also love to sort of coach up digital confidence. I mean, give things a try, right? Sometimes I don't know if it's so much the literacy as it is the confidence. Go out and explore, try the product, try the tool, play with it. I know when we first started this whole online learning sort of thing back in March, I mean, I spent a good chunk of time loading up several tools, building out pretend sort of classrooms in all sorts of platforms, pretend sort of, classes and assignments in all sorts of platforms, so that I could select and choose and say, I'm feeling comfortable with this one mixed with that one. But that requires a level of confidence and competency that you're willing to sort of go out there, as opposed to sort of, what do I use, and just kind of throw your hands up. Like, go out there, explore a little bit. Let's see. Becky also says PD that talks about using the best teaching practices and doesn't model them and just delivers information. That's like the age old, right? You go to school for being a teacher, and the teachers talk about differentiated instruction, differentiated like assessments, but in the end, it's like you're all writing papers and you're all going to take the exam at the end, right? Like it's like super, super hypocritical, I guess. Let's see here. What else do we have? I love the conversations you guys are having with each other. Trying to find. Let's see what Jennifer Knox says. I'm seeing more PD employing ways for teachers to participate through Twitter, Insta, apps that allow us to talk back to the presenter. I agree. I think that talk back moment, that talk back ability is huge. You want to interact. I mean, here we are using YouTube Live, for example, to be able to sort of interact with each other, have the conversation off to the side, as well as if I had a guest on, you could be asking them questions for sure. That is something I will tell you. I think I already shared. The Teacher's Table is hosting some lives in the Hive at Teacher's Table with some of the presenters. So the idea there, what we're going to do is have a presenter's day, whatever that is. So if somebody's day one, then their teacher table moment, if they agreed to do it, they don't have to do it. We're at the mercy of people willing to volunteer their time. But if they do, then it'll be sometime after their session. So the idea is you watch their session and hey, Adam's teacher's table is coming up, right? And then you can come there and sort of ask questions of that presenter, for sure. Let's see. Ooh, Carrie says something about triple track. I try to approach PD with a triple track in mind: adopt, adapt, or create. I love that because some people I think come and they instantly shut down because they don't immediately see how they could do it. But a little bit that idea of adapting and creating around this idea, like what you're getting here is kernels, you're getting seeds, and like you're going to have to nurture these ideas in your land, in your area, and sort of cultivate the results they had. There isn't something you're just going to take, plop in, and the results are there. Like you're going to have to sort of cultivate that experience. I love that. Some of you were talking about interactive PD. That's good. I dig that. Wow. Some good chats here. What does Zardan say? I am a front sitter. I love it. I get made fun of a lot for that. Care factor, 0. Woo! 100% done. I'm with you. I love it. Let's see what Robert says. I love real, authentic time to collaborate with other teachers passionate for actionable change. I agree. That goes back to that sort of collision. I really love it when conferences allow that collision time, that time for teachers to sort of bump into each other, chat, process some ideas, build some connections, and maybe even do things together. That's fantastic. Humor. I think humor is always good. What does Kathy Sue say? I like it when I am engaged not only with the presenter, but others in the room. I agree, right? All moving forward with a new passion. That is exciting. I dig it. For sure. Don says he likes connecting with people or just talking and learning leads to me to explore on my own with others. I really agree, right? Like that, like I said, there's so much genius in the room. Doesn't have to be just squarely at the front of the room. There's just true genius in the room, and sort of honoring that and taking time for that is important, and it's huge. Huge. I dig. What does Rochelle say? I like when presenters share their real experiences, challenges, and benefits. There's a point here. I really do like it when people get away from the like always positive story. Like I think you need to show your authentic self that like you made mistakes along the way. I think that's an encouraging thing because if not, you're left with this understanding that like I better do it this way to have those results. But you're not like getting the full real picture, the fact that they stumbled along the way, they learned, they iterated, they grew, and now they're at that point. And if you want to start on that journey, that includes some of the foibles that they did, right? We can speed the process up by like missing some of that. Was Amanda Gray say, I'm torn because I present, I love getting everyone involved and doing activities, but when I attend, I like to sit, listen, and absorb. Interesting. And that's 1 of 2, so I'll be on the lookout for 2 of 2. I wish we could do away with keynote speakers. Nothing personal, but small groups are where the learning, growing happens, in my opinion. I am with you. Keynotes, even though I am a keynote presenter and I've done it, my favorite actually are the sessions, right? That is where the practical lies. I think keynotes are, again, a focus. And I have actually shared with lots of places that want to have keynotes that I always encourage them. I'd tighten that keynote time down. Like if you think about sort of the best speaking platform in the world right now is TED Talks, and they really like insist no more than 18 minutes, and in fact encourage even less. So if the best speaking platform in the world where you're going to get like a Bill Gates to speak and you're telling them limit it to 18 minutes or less, and tell a story in there, but then we go to like an education conference and like I'm in the middle of like signing a contract with somebody that wants a 90-minute keynote, like 90 minutes of inspiration and not practical application. That's a question mark. Like, why do that? Like, let's have that high impact, that exciting, that rah like keynote refocusing exercise, but let's do that in 20 minutes, right? And then you save room for like a whole nother session in which somebody can dive deep. Fully agree, Don. Fully agree. Oh, here's Amanda's 2 for 2. But you can't beat having a presenter that is truly passionate about their topic. I just can't feel that. You can just feel that energy. I agree. The energy is huge. All right, it is 8:30. Holy cow, there's a lot still to go here. Uh, Don, I'm glad that you're on board with the short keynote idea. Um, all right, so everyone, thank you so much for coming to Teacher's Table. I look forward to next week's Teacher's Table, and I look forward to them all. I really appreciate you guys coming each week. And Jennifer Ledford, thank you for sharing out and getting some others here. You know, feel free, everyone, to invite. We meet Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 Eastern Standard Time. I'd love for more voices at the Teacher's Table because then we get more ideas, right? All right, everybody, have a great weekend. I hope you guys have a good one with your friends, family. Stay safe. Take care.